Hey guys again, it's Mike X. So, I realized that independent of my, I guess I could say introduction or whatever to me being a GM, I should probably also make an update or video about how we're in the 5th year of our campaign. So obviously there's a lot that, not to say you guys missed out on because we didn't record it, but obviously you're going to be like clueless. So this is like the prologue, I guess, which, the ketchup, if you will, without being the mustard. That was a terrible joke. Anyway, so I do something weird. Well, it's not really weird, but it's probably weird for riffs. I do miniatures, but not in the same way as like D&D or Pathfinder or anyone like that would do it. They do it like tactical or battle maps or whatever the hell. Typically, I do it for more diorama purposes. Also, because Riffs is so... I'm trying to think of the word here. I guess kitchen sink or gonzo or whatever the hell it's called. That it's easy to lose sight that, oh right, my robot vehicle is 20 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? Or, I'm 10 feet tall and I'm trying to fit into like a little, a small tavern or the Rift's equivalent of a tavern. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people, like, they easily lose sight. Like, they're just like, oh, okay, I go into the building. And it's like, you are in a 20-foot-tall mech suit. Are you going to go in the building? Are you sure? Because that you're just going to blow the door down. So basically, when I play the game, I usually line all the figures up in front of the GM screen that my girlfriend made for me. And that way everyone can kind of look at it and realize, like, oh, this guy is only, like, this big, and this guy is bigger than even my fingers can stretch. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing too. I have a 3D printer guy, and I buy a lot of STLs, and I have him print them for me and everything. But I make everything as close to true scale as possible. And right off the bat, let me tell you what my formula is, because I'm actually quite proud of it. So whatever the height and feet that the person is, you take it, you multiply it by 0.25, and that equals how many inches the miniature should be. So if you have a 6-foot person, then you multiply that point by 0.25, and you should end up with, actually I'm pretty bad at math, but I think it's 1.25, right? Off the top of my head, I suck. But I think that's what it is. But anyway, so that's all you have to do. So I tell my guy, I need it scaled this way. That way I can look in the books. I can see that this thing is supposed to be that tall. So I just do the math, or the players for that matter. I do the same thing with their miniatures. Most of the miniatures I paint myself. Yeah, that's about it for that. Now, this is where it's going to get crazy. And forgive me, I've tried the whole writing this out as a timeline thing. It doesn't work. Because the problem is, like, a timeline is like, you always draw it out as a finite line, right? And then you start writing in things like, this happened there, this happened there, this happened here. And then you're like, oh, but this also happened here, and this also happened here. And then eventually, like, it just ends up being clustered. And there's no way to actually stretch the line out again, because that's not how physics works. But, granted, I could do it online, or with some kind of a program, but I don't have the time for that. So, quick rundown. Some players have come, some players have gone. So I think actually we've only had 3. But I have a rule where when I tell people, like, look, you create the character, you control the character, you come up with the quirks of the character, whatever it may be. But ultimately the character, it doesn't belong to me, but it belongs to my universe, if that makes sense. There's a guy who, if you look it up on YouTube, he's like, it's like the guy who's running the world's longest like D&D campaign or whatever. He basically says the same thing. Is that like once you join the world, even if you moved away, or presumably if you die in real life, your character persists because it's part of the world. And that was one of the biggest problems I had with D&D and Pathfinder, is like the players coming and going all the time. And it was just like, this isn't drop in, drop out co-op like Borderlands or something. Like, so their characters may persist. The players do not. Most of the time they're still welcome. Just they move away, or they, whatever. They get busy. Something like that happens. So I will start as best I can at the beginning. So Mac 33, who is a shark person, or shark folk, whatever the hell you want to call them. Technically, they're in an escaped coalition experiment. Zoya, who is a war knight. Ostagorath, who is a dragon, or Chenku dragon, technically. That might have been everyone that I actually started off with. Was just 3. I don't think there was any others, but I could be wrong. That's going to kill me now. Anyway, so those 3, they were in a mall, or an abandoned, post-apocalyptic mall, basically ransacking it or whatever, looking for just goods. There was a random coalition patrol that came through the building. This was in Hell, Michigan, by the way. The name of I tend to name my chapters. The first chapter is called Welcome to Hell. Yeah. So, coalition soldiers came in. They went to do a sweep of this mall and stumbled across these adventurers / marks. And a big battle ended up actually and coming out, occurring. The 3 of them ended up killing quite a bit of dead boys. Then they ended up escaping as reinforcements arrived. They went back to their base HQ type place, and they were then met by, at their door. There was a knock. It ended up being this man named Hoover, who had heard / observed maybe the whole what happened at the mall. He promised them credits and to be able to make the whole thing just kind of disappear if they were to do a job for him. So they agreed. He needed them to go to the Federation of Magic to get a techno-wizardry device and return it to him. All he asked for were 2 things. 1, no killing. 2, no witnesses. It ended not at all like that. So the shark person basically goes into a blood rage. Mac 33 does. Anytime she sniffs blood, and just decimates everything that's nearby, friend or foe for that matter, until an oxygen mask or some kind of a filter gets placed over her face to prevent the smell of blood, or stop the smell of blood. There were quite a few incidents where blood was smelled and Berserker Rage took over. But they ended up going to the Federation of Magic. They ended up killing some people. They eventually did find the device. And while trying to escape the place after they'd committed murders, because they figured, well, no witnesses kind of overrides no killing. Like, because, you know, if you get caught, what are you supposed to do? So they just killed anyone who caught them, basically. 1 out of 2, so whatever. So they end up taking the device as they're trying to escape the city. They get kind of cornered. The dragon, Ostagorath, sensing, because he can sense, or not sense, he knows how all techno-wizardry works. Realized the device that he was holding was a portal device, basically. So in the middle, basically the middle of the city, he triggered it, which happened to open an interdimensional rift, and thus releasing the Egyptian god of destruction, Sekhmet, who proceeded to emerge and just start destroying the city. The players just kind of booked it and left the city to fall. Returned back to their HQ, where they were confronted by Hoover. Hoover took the device and then proceeded to crush it and laugh at them. They immediately basically killed him. They stomped on his head. Turned out he was a robot. And I couldn't think of a better way to do it, but like he's imprinted with the Archie logo or whatever on his the metal parts, like the cranium or whatever. So that set them off on a journey to go hunt down this Archie guy. While searching, they ended up coming across a carnival where they encountered James T. And James T. Anyone who knows Risk is obviously tied to Archie, so we know exactly where to get him or find him. After some travel, they found the bunker, and they broke in to the bunker, infiltrated as best they could, and they fought Archie 3 Oz. And it was a long, crazy battle because reinforcements of robots kept coming in as they're trying to take out the head, or the brain. James T. ultimately was able to hack nearby computers and cause basically the entire structure to self-destruct / implode. So the players had to then get the hell out of there as the cave itself around them was just collapsing. It was absolute madness. When they got to the surface, Zoya received word through radio that her warlord in Russia was captured, and a war was breaking out amongst the warlords. So she had to go back to Russia to free / help her warlord. It did take a long time for them to get there. There was a lot of encounters. They stopped off at Atlantis. They ran into Gargoyle versus Triax in Germany. I believe there was more Gargoyle issues over in Poland. Then one of my favorite things is on the way to Russia, they encountered Chernobyl, and I came up with this epic boss battle, which unfortunately, like, I can only tell you about it now. They weren't there. But basically, if you don't know, the Chernobyl power plant is encased in like lead, and they call it the sarcophagus. Well, the sarcophagus was cracked open, very open, and inside, or growing from it, I guess you could say, was a heavily mutated, I mean gigantic, essentially a Venus flytrap, okay? But a Venus flytrap that's like skyscraper sized. So it was just enormous. And because rifts, it also breathed? Yeah, it also breathed electrified fire. Which, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Like, that makes no sense. And I'm like, rifts. So they battled this thing as it just breathed electrical fire at them. And my favorite thing about that is that no one realized that they had just fought, like afterwards, that they had just fought a power plant. That was terrible. But it was awesome. It was a great fight. And they ended up defeating it. And then they got to Russia. They uncovered a conspiracy amongst warlords to take down Sonya, and basically Orlov ended up being the primary antagonist to the situation, and they ended up freeing Sonya and confronting Orlov and essentially not nuking him, but they blew him up. But for the miniature, now I went with this is the Orlov miniature. I went with this way. Okay. From the description that I read in the book, is there were two things, and one of them is like his nickname is the Snow Demon. So I was like, yeah, that seems like a pretty appropriate. If I paint him white, he looks very snow demon-y. And two, in the book, it says like what his MDC is, but then it says like he also wears heavy, like I think heavy body armor or power armor or something like that. But that's it. It just says like he wears heavy thing, and I'm like, okay. So basically, I envisioned what he would look like, what kind of weapons he would have, like the fact that he's just fucking psychotic. So this was Orlov. As you can imagine, one of the player characters is like this big in comparison. So it was a hell of a battle, but they ended up defeating him, and he ended up getting blown apart by one of the players who actually is not in the group anymore, but it was the character was Monty. Shot a missile at him as he retreated, I guess, after the battle. He wasn't... Whatever. I'm not going to give, I guess, spoilers of that one. But, so, they also went to the... I make sure that, like, every city has an arena. Basically, every major city has, like, some kind of an arena, like a Fight Club type system. And they met the juicer Dick Verest, and all of them fought. Now, it's on the cover of the Bestiary 1 book, and I came across this miniature, and like, I thought, like, man, that is like the perfect creature for this. So this, now mind you, again, the player characters are like that tall, maybe. Okay. So they fought this thing, okay, and it was an absolute epic battle. Now, so this is like the creature that's on the cover of Bestiary 1. You can just look at it. I mean, I have the book over there, but I'm not going to get up to show it to you. After they defeated Orlov, I believe they got a signal from a nearby. They got a message because Zoya had killed the warlord, so therefore she becomes the warlord because that's how that works. So now that she was the warlord, so some of the robotic servants that used to serve Orlov gave her a piece of paper, which basically seemed as if there was another player in this conspiracy against the other warlords. So they went and investigated and found that Orlov was in communication with Archie. And Archie was actually kind of stroking Orlov's ego and sliding him intel and ideas about how he should rule Russia, and that, the best way for him to do it would be this way, and so on and so forth. So now they suspect / know that Archie is still alive. So they are now heading back to America or North America to hunt down Archie. Now, along the way, the group encountered the Zitisiks. And Dick Verest, who is the newest member of the group, is afraid of magic or magical creatures. So him and the dragon have huge issues. So Dick Verest and Ostagorath not getting along so well. Now, he doesn't know that Ostagorath is a dragon, but he's been doing tons of magical stuff. Like he has, glowing tattoos. He can take an absolute insane beating, and nothing happens. It's kind of like when you see like Superman versus Zod or whatever in the whatever movie that was with a few years ago. But like they're battling each other forever, and then like I think Zod, I can't remember who it was actually. I think Zod like landed this big punch on Superman, and you just see this little trickle of blood here, and it's like you just fought for like 20 minutes, and now you're just having a little tiny drip of blood coming down. Actually, I don't care because it's superheroes, so that makes sense. But I can understand how Dick Verest, who is a juicer, is hitting this guy with all of his strength, and the guy is just like gets back up and is like, "What the hell was that, man?" And it's like, dude, your head should not be connected to your body anymore. You should be dead. So he's very suspicious of what's up with that. But because of this huge rift, no pun intended, opened between them, and Dick Verest ended up going on his own way to North America on his own independent mission of vengeance against the people who forcefully turned him into a juicer. So he's basically like in Game of Thrones. God, I can't remember her name. I know it was Macy Williams' character. I can't remember what the actual character's name is though. But she had that hit list. Same idea. He has the same thing. So he has to go and try to kill all these people. But they're both going in the same direction, different purposes, and not together anymore. So it is future reference for anyone that's willing to GM. It is very difficult if the party splits up. I think it's probably one of those unwritten rules of role-playing games that like you don't split up the party. And if you do, it's like this guy's in this room and this guy's in that room, as opposed to like this guy's in North America and these guys are still in Poland. You know what I mean? Like there's like time zones and all this other stuff that you have to worry about to some degree. But yeah, I'm trying to make it work, and so far I feel like I'm actually doing pretty well. But I'm sure for listeners it's going to get very confusing if they merge. I am at 100% not opposed to killing the characters. I'm not aiming to kill the characters, but it's riffs. So if you die, you die. Like, that's just the name of the game, But that's basically it. That's where we are right now. The group is, for the most part, hunting down Archie. And then Dick is hunting down his own targets. Now, the group themselves are roughly in, like, Polish? Or they were, actually. When I upload the video, or the podcast, they should be going from roughly Poland to Atlantis. They're going to stop at Atlantis on the way. Spoiler alert. And Dick is technically his vehicle. He has a jetpack. It's in the Juicer Uprising book. It travels at Mach 1, which I did the math, didn't realize. So Mach 1 is 741 miles per hour. So basically he's able to go across the ocean significantly faster than they are, because they're just, at best, well, one of them flies. So pretty much everyone, they're on the ground. So they have to find like a boat or a ship, airship to get across. But, yeah. So that's where we are right now. And it's going to be complicated to figure it out. And I'm sure you won't be able to tell some voices apart, but it'll over time probably grow on you. And I'm going to work on, making this a little less amateur as it goes on, because it's obviously amateur. I spent $200 so far, roughly, on equipment. Again, I'm not, like I said in my GM video, I am not trying to make this like, I know there's podcasts out there that are famous, but I'm not. It's just, I would rather be real and raw than worry about editing and all this other stuff, So that's basically it. So hope that catches you guys up. And we'll probably see you on like roughly a weekly basis. So have fun.